Yes, it is 5:11. Time to start. Good evening, everyone, and I wish everyone a good health as we are passing through a very tough time of COVID-19 and situation is improving, but we are not out of wood fully. And I understand that, including myself, the heart of many sank when we faced the bad situation of second wave of COVID-19 recently. And apart from that, there is another sore point that is the fire in the hospitals. And we are here to throw light on the requirement of electrical installation in the medical location as per IS 17512 2021. I feel more than happy when good people like Gopa sir accepted invitation and come forward to talk on the subject. That is a basically important subject to talk on and discuss on. We at Igniting Power Engineering started our journey on the 5th of November 2020, and very first webinar was conducted by Honorable S. Power sir on 7th of November. And in the series of knowledge, we have already invited many experts and they have contributed by sharing knowledge, including Sukhwinder Jain, Sanjay Patki sir, Sunil Sood sir, Rajesh Bansal sir, Dr. Chandima Gomes, Pramod Rao, Nirav Patel, Kaushik Das ji. And today we have with us a legend who need no introduction as he is a real authority on the subject of earthing and lighting, respected and honorable Gopa sir. Before I give introduction of Gopa sir, I would like to tell something about some mentors who supported, guided, encouraged, and have been instrumental in journey of learning, and without which it wouldn't have been possible to reach here where this platform right now is. In that list, the first name is P.P. Wahi sir, Anjali Chandra ma'am, Sahil sir, Pramod sir, Dr. Kamal Bansal ji, P. Ramachandran sir, K.K. Murthy sir, K.K. Gupta ji, N.K. Mittal sir, Sanjay Agarwal ji, Amit Bhatia ji, Apao sir, Sanjay Patki ji, P.K. Patnaik ji, Dr. Rajamani, Harish Mehta ji, Manas Kundo ji, Yugesh Sood ji is there, Dr. Vikas, Sanjeev Banerjee, Hitesh sir, Sridhar sir, LM Saini sir, SK Batra ji, Vishan Dutt ji, CBIP, my good friend Saket Gupta, Varun Saini, my team Hitesh, Abhishek and Gulab. Last but not least, the support given by LP and CBIP for this noble cause. Coming to the introduction part of respected Honorable S. Gopa sir. He is basically an electrical engineer and he is the MD of Managing Director of Cape Electric. He is having more than 25 years of experience in electrical safety, lighting protection, EMI, EMC of electrical installations. And he has conducted more than 1,000 site study on failure in electronic equipments. And he has presented papers in more than 1,000 seminars and training programs in India and abroad. He is a member of Indian and international IC committees and he is a technical coordinator of LARC, Lightning Awareness and Research Center, Trivandrum. His membership includes ICTC 64, TC 81, SC 37A, and he also represents India on BIS on ETD 20 and ETD 30. And he has published many articles about safety in various magazines and recently has published very good book, The Missing Link, in the subject of electrical safety. Without wasting much time, without much ado, now I am going to hand over this platform to respected Honorable Gopa sir. Please set this platform on fire with your knowledge. Welcome, sir.
Oh, sorry. I'm using Zoom after so many days, so I was trying to search out where the unmute button is. Sorry
No
for that.
issue, no issue, no issue.
Okay. So, thank you very much, Rajeshji, for the introduction. So, no more introduction required. Electrical system in the hospital. Electrical system in the hospital. What is the speciality of electrical system in the hospital? That I will start with. Now, the standards with respect to the standard, we have the IS 17512 standard, which is published recently by the CIS ETD 20. In IEC, in TC 64, the standard is made by MT40. There is a group of people, those who are making this particular drafting this IEC standard. I am also a member in MT40. So regarding the hospital, what exactly or what is the speciality of a hospital? In a hospital, you have a normal electrical installation or normal location. Normal location is the general location, like the where there are no special items or special shock hazards are not there in a normal place. In a hospital, you also have medical location. Medical location is a place where which is classified as group 1 or group 2 medical location. It is a place where some critical activities are going on. Say, for example, in group 1 is a place where continuity of supply is very much essential. A disconnection of supply probably may create some hazard situation to the patient. The number 2 problem is even very small voltage of the order of a few millivolt. I think somebody is annotating the slide. I could see a mark on the screen. So, group 1 location is a place where you have very hazardous area with respect to shock. A voltage of few millivolt, about 40 to 50, 60 millivolt could create a problem to the patient, because all of you know very well that skin offers resistance to electricity. In operation theater, lot of metallic items bypass the skin, and often syringes and other metal things are directly connected to the blood veins. As a result, the human being in this particular location or in a hospital, especially connected with a lot of electromedical equipment, he doesn't have the power to withstand a higher voltage. The maximum voltage which we have to limit under group 1 condition is few millivolt, 40 to 50 millivolt. So basically, medical location is a place where you have very special requirement in the sense it's a very critical area. Even a small discharge could kill a patient. In USA, according to the NFPA 74 and with the available data, in USA about 10,000 device-related patient injuries happen each year. And now you can look at the point number 4. 1,200 Americans are electrocuted annually during routine diagnostic and therapeutic procedures in the hospital. This is a very old data, 1970 data. So they had problems. Even at this time itself, they realized the problem. As a result, they started developing standards exclusively for the medical location, because a medical location, especially a patient, an operation theater or a place where you have ICU, with a lot of electromedical equipment, we have to have a very special classification. You can see here, medical personnel rarely read the user manual until a problem occurs, because the hospital order an equipment, the party will come, the supplier will come, he will install the equipment, and mostly the safety part is neglected. In last 1 year, we have made a kind of a survey in about 70 hospitals in few districts. Then we tried to make one more survey during the last 2-3 months through internet, but nowadays no one, the hospitals are not cooperating with the survey. As a result, the new data is not available. This data about 70 hospitals, which was done for a period of 1 year. We actually categorize hospital into 3 categories: small, medium, and large. The small, medium, and large is with respect to the electricity connected load. Small hospitals are hospitals with power connected up to 50 kilowatt. There is one LT supply from the DISCOM. Major loads are air conditioners, fan, small biomedical equipment. These are small hospitals, clinics basically. The category 2 is medium type, medium level hospital. This is also a hospital with uh, low voltage supply, but probably the demand is something between 50 to 300, 400 kilowatt. Most of the hospitals have multiple LT supply from the utility. Sometimes there are cases where 5, 6, 7, 8 supplies are taken from different parts of, probably from one transformer or sometimes from 2 transformers. So basically multiple LT supplies are there. The history is, old hospital which started as a small unit, but after 10 years they develop or they construct one building, they take one more LT supply. After some time they take one more construct one more building and they take one more LT supply. Slowly they developed into a larger system. Of course, 300, 400 kilowatt power to a hospital is a big power. Mostly the electrical loads are air conditioner, X-ray, CT scan, light, fan, biomedical equipment, and so on. And the third one is the category large. These are actually hospitals with really high voltage supply, 11 kV, 11, 20 to 33 kV supply. There is a transformer and the low voltage is fed into to the hospital. Major loads are again air conditioner, X-ray, CT scan, MRI, lighting, electromedical equipment, safety system, and so on. You can note down here, these are some of the equipment which is used in these hospitals. Our findings are, in general cases, if we go to a hospital, a small or a medium level hospital, if we go and ask them, look, I came from I wanted to do a repair of some of the item, where is the distribution board? If we ask the receptionist or the people, those who are the hospital staff, if we ask almost 30% of them, they don't know where this distribution boards and other things are there. Most of these hospitals doesn't have an exclusive technician to take care of the electrical system because they are smaller. In case of any doubt, even if there is a technician and if we ask some questions to him, what he does is he call the electrical contractor and try to manage the situation. With respect to safety subject, like the system earthing, are you using TT system or TNS system, or what kind of earthing, system earthing you are doing? Unfortunately, 100% people don't know. The second question with respect to safety, whether did you actually, the second question shall be, have you tested the efficiency of automatic disconnection of supply? But instead I changed the question, have you tested the fault loop impedance and disconnection? This is the answers are not encouraging. Are you using RCDs and earth fault protection for hospital? Probably the hospitals which is 10 years or older hospital, RCDs are mostly missing. And the latest hospitals, yes, of course, RCDs are there, but out of 100 circuits, only 10, 15, 20 circuits on an average, RCDs are installed and in working condition. Then the safety service. Safety service is, the firefighting and other system. Most of the places, the larger ones, 100 kilowatt, 200 kilowatt, 300 kilowatt, the larger multi-storied buildings. Firefighting systems are installed, but they are only for the namesake. Fire survival installation for fire safety, if we ask, generally this is unknown. Probably the subject is quite new for those engineers. If we ask the safety of the installation in medical location, you have to understand that this is the place, say for example, operation theater. Are you using continuity of supply? Are you using IT supply? Then the answer is actually some people try to answer or manage to answer, but probably most of them doesn't know. Class 2 medical location shock reduction measures. As I said, the supplementary equipotential bonding is very much necessary in class 2 medical location, and the touch voltages shall be reduced to 40 to 50 millivolt in normal condition. If we ask that question, mostly this subject is unknown. And EMI EMC measures. Why EMI EMC? Because a lot of electromedical devices are there, a lot of semiconductor based things are there. basically electrically or magnetically, the environment is really polluted with respect to a lot of magnetic pollution is there. So that subject is quite unknown. But if we talk to the management, most of the managements are really they show their interest to implement modern safety measures. The second part, larger hospitals, if we ask the general questions, do they have an exclusive engineer? Yes, of course, there is an exclusive team of people to handle most of the hospitals. Are they trained? Do you know the circuits? Where is your drawings? About 50% of the cases, they are able to immediately take the drawings and they are able to identify the things. It means 50% of them don't know such information. And even in this case, 50% of the cases, they call the electrical contractor to ask for the doubts. Overload protective devices in both the cases, especially the medium level hospital and the larger hospitals, overload protective devices are installed. Overload protective device, ACB, MCCB, MCBs are installed. But if we ask, technically, if we look at the installation, since overload protective devices are installed, the chance of a fire due to overload must be negligible, must be zero, in fact, because there is an MCB for a typical load. The whole wiring is able to withstand let us imagine a 20 amps MCB. The incoming upstream part, for sure, the upstream part from the transformer is able to withstand much more than 20 amps. So there is no question. From the MCB up to the end circuit downstream, if we ask whether the circuit can withstand 20 amps, of course, the circuit is able to withstand the 20 amps. And if somebody overload more than 20 amps, this MCB is supposed to trip. So protective devices are there. But if we ask the question, are you sure your MCB will trip? Then the problem starts, because this MCB is installed a few years back. Nobody knows whether it will work or not. So this is a problem. Then with respect to safety, the system is rarely known. Out of 100 people, only maybe 1 or 2 people know what is TT, TNS, TNCS and all. Here actually the problem is with respect to the small and medium hospitals, where mostly the supply part is taken care by the utility from the transformer up to the main switchboard. Here actually the system is under the control of the client, and most of the cases the system looks like a TT. And as far as I am concerned, I would say TT system for this particular application is really dangerous. So it is more dangerous than the small and the medium hospital. Fault loop impedance and disconnection is unknown. RCD is a 10 years old hospital, rarely used. The latest hospitals about 30-40% used. Safety services installed in major hospital, and it is often maintained well. About 50% they maintain it well, due to the reason that the fire officer always come for inspection. Fire survival installation for safety service, and especially they think that fire survival is a subject related to wire, which is actually not correct. It is a wrong idea. Then regarding the safety in medical location, the question continuity of supply IT system is unknown. Class 2 medical location, shock reduction measures are unknown. EMI EMC is also is very much difficult, but here also the management is able to they wanted to implement the modern safety measures, but most of the time what we understand is these people, they are always misguided. What is the misguiding? Number one, across India, electrical engineers think that thermography will bring a very big amount of safety into a low voltage installation. As a result, hospitals go for thermography. Lot of people advocating, and people, senior people also try to recommend that every hospital should have a thermography meter in order to ensure safety. Yes, of course, but you should understand that thermography meter, it can only take care, or it can only find out a hot spot in a live conductor, current carrying conductor. In a hospital or in a general location, the safety is ensured by the protective conductor. Protective conductor is not a current carrying conductor. Protective conductor is always in off condition. There is no current flowing, and you cannot find out the integrity of protective conductor by doing a thermography. So the purpose of thermography is, at the first step itself, it's beaten. Why people recommend thermography? Because they are not aware of what exactly testings recommended in the standard. IS 732 in 1989, not now, 31 years back, they recommended basic testing measures in an electrical installation, which we don't do. As a result, we don't know what exactly testings are required, but we always go for the high class. Somebody says thermography and there is a beautiful camera, beautiful picture. You can always look at the picture and be happy. But unfortunately, this do not give you the desired result. Of course, it gives certain amount of safety, but if you classify, you need 100 points for safety, and how much points you can give for thermography, I would say it can give you maybe 0.5%. That's all, not more than that. Now, and that is the reason thermography is not recommended in IEC 60364. Thermography is recommended in low voltage only for solar PV, not for other application, because the testing philosophy itself is different. I will explain it on the later slides. Now, if we look at the IS 732, IEC, British, American, or whatever the standard, the first test recommended in the standard is to find out the loose contacts and weak points in a wiring. So the continuity resistance measurement is the first test which is recommended in a wiring. That means after pulling the wire through the conduit, after installing the wire through the conduit, you should measure the resistance of the circuit and you should check whether the resistances are within the limit or not, which we don't do. Number two, fault loop impedance. Imagine you have an existing installation. You wanted to find out whether the installation wires had degraded or there some loose contacts had occurred in the wire and so on. The second test, fault loop impedance, you will be able to find out. So there are advanced tests recommended in the standard, which is actually mandatory as per the code of practice, which we don't do. Whereas we go for thermography. I would say this is a misguided information. The second one, misguided. If we ask for fire survival, people always think that fire survival is a subject related to wire. Then immediately jump out and they say, yeah, I know it's a wire. The wire should withstand the fire. Actually, this is not the correct information. The fact is, for certain application in a building, you need to have, especially for fire survival or fire safety service. Safety service is a place where people should escape in case of a fire. Electrical installation in the safety service shall withstand certain time, or it has to survive fire until certain time. So electrical installation, including the wire, the conduit, the screws, the fixing, the cable trays, the trunking, the light, the fan, the switch, the MCB, the distribution board, and everything. It is not only about wire alone. It is the complete electrical installation which is supposed to survive. But unfortunately, what happens in India is people think that fire survival is about wire and they keep on changing the wire. They put higher quality wire. But you should understand that if you put a wire in a cable tray and if the cable tray is not withstanding the fire, what is the purpose of putting a fire survival cable? If you put the wire in through a conduit and if the conduit is plastic and if that conduit starts melting, then what is the purpose of making fire survival insulation? If the switch has burned, what is the purpose of using fire survival cable? If the junction box completely burned out, what is the purpose of using fire survival cable? So the idea of fire survival is the entire electrical installation must withstand the fire. So the whole installation shall survive fire. That is the idea. So what is the recommendation? Fire resistant installation for safety service. The wiring system shall be mounted and installed in such a way that the circuit integrity will not be impaired during fire. This includes not only fire survival cable, but all equipment of safety service such as fixing, routing, light, pump, and all the things. The third one, a lot of places people say, the third biggest problem is harmonics. So you make a harmonic study, and if you solve the complete harmonics, your full problems are gone. This is the third problem. But with respect to, I would say, I will not put it as a harmonic problem. It's a power quality problem. It is EMI, including harmonics, interharmonics, signal dips, voltage unbalance, and there are so many issues which is happening. But doing only harmonic study will not solve your problem. These things, I would say, these are misguided. So what is required? The general mistakes, fire due to short circuit, there is no protective conductor, there is no earth wire in the final circuit. From the switch to the socket, there is no earth wire, only phase and neutral goes. What I say is, from the switch up to the socket, only the phase conductor and the neutral conductor goes, and there is no earth wire. And if there is no earth wire, in case of earth fault, you should understand what is going to happen. And most of the time, the protective conductor is disconnected, undersized protective conductor, no RCDs, large hospital with their own transformer, they go for non-standard TT system. Continuity test to find out loose contacts are not carried out 100%. Fault loop impedance test is 100% not carried out. Method to reduce insulation degradation 100% not available. Too much earth pit. Most of the hospitals, if we walk around, there are hundreds of earth pits installed. This is a violation of safety requirement. Isolators are used instead of MCBs. Origin of circuit is most of the time not traceable. I will just show you a video, or I will skip it because I'm sure that most of you already have seen this particular video. One moment. So this is a video which one of the hospital starting the fire. Since our time is limited, I would recommend to skip this. These two videos are short video, but the idea is to tell you that fire is not an instantaneous phenomena, especially fire.
Sir, we have sufficient time. You can show the video, no issue.
Okay, that's great. You can see a hospital inside the nurse found out something is going wrong. Now they start running, trying to switch off the apparatus, trying to escape the patient. This is a recent video. See, there is a fire. There was a blast in this particular equipment. Now you see what is going on. So here, this particular equipment where my mouse is there, now you see it started burning. Now, all these things are happening within few minutes. Within 3 minutes, the whole thing is, this is a 3-minute video. You see how fast it is. So basically, that particular equipment started the fire. Electrical, we call as fire due to short circuit. This is how most of the time it happens. So fire starts from some electrical apparatus, and we must understand that the ignition of fire is not happening instantaneously. It takes a few seconds. Please understand, not minutes, few seconds. And the seconds are probably 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds. And the first and the foremost electrical safety measure which we must understand and follow is automatic disconnection of supply. The supply shall be disconnected within certain milliseconds. If the supply is disconnected within milliseconds, there is no chance of fire. Now here you can see another video. This is I took from the YouTube. You can see here a spark on the junction box. As a result of the spark, the insulation has gone. Higher current is flowing. The entire box is getting hot. As a result, smoke starts coming out. You see, from the time of the spark up to the time which is where this whole thing is becoming or igniting fire, there is a time. Probably in this particular case, maybe half minute or more than half minute. In the hospital case, probably it is few seconds. But basically, we have time. Now, in electrical, especially fire due to short circuit, one of the most important parameters is power supply classification. Power supply classification in the sense, you imagine that this particular junction box, now it has caught fire. Why? Because there is an insulation failure. Okay, the insulation failure is happening. Or imagine instead of this junction box, you imagine an air conditioner. The air conditioner, let me put the video again. Imagine this is an air conditioner. Something happened in the air conditioner. There is a short circuit. Then slowly the overcurrent starts flowing and the equipment are getting hot. As a result, this is going to catch fire. Now the problem we can assess in two ways. One is the first problem is an insulation failure, but the actual fire is created by the source. The source, if the source is not strong enough to create this much, dissipate this much energy, there is no fire. So the source, the fire is ignited because of the source. Source classification is very important with respect to creating fire. Sources are classified into three: power source 1, 2, 3. Power source 1 means a source which is able to disconnect your system within 3 seconds. Most of our electrical or air conditioner like appliances, they are able to withstand an internally created fire up to 3 seconds. But the electrical, when you install the air conditioner in your wiring, you must understand and you must ensure that the disconnection is happening within 3 seconds. So there the power classification or power supply classification happens. Anyway, I'm not going into much into it. Now with respect to overload, a lot of people in the hospital sector, they say the fire has started because of overload. Because my hospital is equipped with a 10 room. I was using only 10 equipment, but due to COVID, 20 equipment are there, then 40 people are there. As a result, suddenly overloading happened and equipment started burning. This is not correct, because most of these hospitals have got overcurrent protective device. What is the purpose of installing overcurrent protective device? In case of overload, this device should trip, and if this device is not tripping, of course, then there will be a problem. The tripping time in case of a fault of negligible impedance is less than 200 milliseconds. In case of a TT network, I have put as TT network because most of the hospitals are TT. Wiring and equipment can withstand up to this 200 milliseconds. Actually, not 200 milliseconds, up to 3 seconds it can withstand. But the problem is most of the time the MCBs are not tripping because the MCB's tripping time is not tested. As I said, we don't know the situation. We also, if the MCB trips based on the power source standards of the IEC, if the MCB is tripping within the specified time, the equipment is able to withstand until certain time. As a result, the fire can be avoided. Now about the IS standard on medical location. For medical location or for hospitals, there are two standards applicable: IS 732 Code of Practice of Electrical Wiring and IS 17512, which is exclusively for medical location. Don't think that the second one is applicable for the whole hospital. No, the second one is applicable only for the medical location. Medical location is the place where a patient is connected to biomedical equipment. Only that particular place this standard is applicable. And this standard with respect to American, German, British, French and other standards, our standard is equally good because this is adopted from the most modern IEC standards. Now I go to the some of the last part of the presentation, the testing of an installation. How to ensure that your electrical installation is safe. IS 732 recommended 19 inspection points. There are 19 points which you are supposed to inspect. It starts with what is the philosophy with which electric shock is handled, what is the philosophy with which fire and power sourcing plus fire barriers are installed, what is the philosophy with which over voltages are limited, what is the philosophy with which the wires are sized, like that. There are 19 inspection points. Followed by that, there are 10 tests included in the standard. Now, here I have put continuity of conductor. Actually, in the future, I won't use continuity of conductor. If I put continuity of conductor, I'm sure an electrician will take a small tester and he will check the continuity. Actually, continuity of conductor is not continuity checking. It is the resistance measurement of a wire. The resistance of earthing conductor, main and supplementary bonding conductor, and the final live conductors in a ring circuit. All these three things shall be measured and it shall be compared with the data. So the standard gives you a standard maximum allowed resistance for a circuit, and we are supposed to measure it and ensure that the resistance is within that particular limit. Now you can look at the test number 6, effectiveness of automatic disconnection of supply. Now, out of these 10 tests, 4 tests are in off condition and the 6 tests are in on condition. That means you really need the power supply to undergo these particular tests. And all these tests and inspection points are applicable during the initial verification. Initial verification means immediately after completing an electrical project, immediately after completing your wiring, all the 19 inspections and 10 tests are applicable. Of course, the upgradations are happening on the standard, and now more advanced things are coming up. Whereas this 10 plus 9, 29 test for periodic verification, you cannot do all these particular things, especially continuity resistance measurement of wires. Periodic inspection is very difficult. You cannot do all the tests of in the serial number 1, but you can do only few of them. What is medical location, and what is the speciality of medical location? Medical location is an area where, due to magnetism and self-inductance, even the leakage or an insulation failure is no longer necessary to create a shock situation. Even the small leakages are enough to create an electrocution, and most of the time the flooring, it's a wet area, because most of the time it is not really dry, so that the resistances, the touch voltages or the chance of shock is much more. What is recommended, or what is the problem? The patient who is where a lot of electromedical equipments are connected to his body, even a small current flow through the body, depending upon how he is placed, how he is sleeping, or how he is on the bed, based on the location and based on that particular the way he is placed, there are chances of micro shock and the macro shock. Mostly these shocks, depending upon the situation, are fatal to the patient. This is the reason protective equipotential bonding, especially with the supplementary equipotential bonding, the entire electrical appliances in the patient environment shall be interconnected. This is what the old standard IS 17512 explains. The additional safety measures requirement in hospitals with respect to a normal installations are we are supposed to follow a TNS system for the general area, and automatic disconnection in general area as per IS 732, and continuity of supply in group 2 locations, IS 17512. These are the mandatory things. Patient environment earthing, maximum potential difference between two surfaces are under fault condition up to general care areas 500 millivolt and critical care areas 40 millivolt under normal condition. This is the maximum potential difference allowed. Current loops, potential difference, unintentional current flow through patient are the major source of microshock. So the intensive care units, especially the operation theater and other places, all the metallic items used, such as wash basin, maybe the light fitting, the bed, the floor, the electrical appliances, all these things shall be interconnected with a supplementary bonding. And the maximum resistance allowed between two different parts is a very little resistance. I think it's about 100 millivolt. I don't remember it exactly now. Now, in addition, the last point, the medical location require additional testing. The previous one is for the entire area, but medical location require additional testing, because if you go for an IT supply, you have insulation monitoring devices. So insulation monitoring devices shall be tested, and the tests it shall be tested according to the second part, the frequency of testing. For example, functional testing of insulation monitoring device every 12 months you are supposed to do. Measurement to verify that the supplementary equipotential bonding is correct. Of course, every 36 months you are supposed to do. Integrity of required equipotential bonding, main equipotential bonding, every 36 months. Like that, the standard very clearly defines what kind of safety measures are required, what kind of extra safety measures are required in the medical location, and what kind of extra testings are required in the medical location. All these things are very well defined in this particular standard. So by this, I would like to stop, and probably we can go for, this was actually the survey which we were doing in the hospital. Of course, this will be applicable for somebody who is working in the hospital. Now, one of the point, most of these hospitals, they have the early streamer emission lightning protection system. You know, most of you knows very well what is early streamer emission. This is a nonsense system, according to me. Which people say, I protect not only me, I protect all my neighbors. And the dangerous part is not only this particular rod at the top of the building, but the routing of down conductor is much more danger. Most of the time, there is only one down conductor routed through the electrical shaft. All of you know very well that this system is not recommended in the National Building Code, and this shall not be used in medical locations. So by this, I would like to stop. Thank you very much, Dr. Rajesh Arora, for inviting me to this program. We can go for the question answer session. I hope I am in time.
Sir, thank you very much for this enlightening, mind-blowing session. And before I invite question, I would like to discuss a few things about the very important IS 17512 2021. That IS should not be seen in isolation. We have to look at IS 732. We have to look IS 61000 Part 2 for EMC and EMC 14700 and 6155-8 and 615579 and 2 for your IT transformer to be incorporated when you are looking at this IS, because this IS alone is not solving all the purpose of medical location, because in medical location some ISO transformers are also there, and you have to take care of PLV system, SELV systems, and you have to take care of all loop impedance. You have to take care of all the IT transformer you are using, because as per this IES, some leakage permissible values are there that is to be tested periodically. That should not be more than that. They have specified some kVA rating of that transformer also. That should not be more than that. And more specifically, they have mentioned that that location, that IT transformer should not be more than 25 meters from the point of use. That is to be kept in mind, but people are neglecting that part. Secondly, when we talk about RCD and other protective devices that need periodic testing and verification, because Gopal sir has already mentioned that verification and validation of all the protective system in the place to be checked periodically, and you have to ensure their healthiness. Otherwise, whatever you have done is of no use. Now, before I take question, I would like to invite Mittal Saab is there, NK Mittal. I would like to invite him and kindly unmute Mittal Saab and say a few words. Then I will be going to the question and answer session.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Rajesh. It's very normal for us to hear GK for a long time, and all of us have been blessed a little bit to hear him. And he's one of the very few professionals, I would say, who has read the standard word by word and understood the standard word by word. It's not like a novel reading like us. He has really gone into the meaning. So that is wonderful. Now, anyway, besides this general talk, let me talk specifically on the topic. GK, one thing I would like to say, these standards are good if, because basic idea is to have the safety installed and the safety working effectively. That is the ultimate idea, so that we can save the life of the people. That is the idea. But to make this system work, we have to work out things in such a way so that it is practical and easy to do it. Many times we feel now, just now we were talking of isolation transformers inside the OTs or place where there are a lot of medical equipment. So if that 25 meter is the distance, and I still remember when we visited one of the international these fairs, there was a stall known as Bender, and they had displayed neutral to earth voltage, normal insulation values on the display. They have this equipment. So this have to be done in such a way so that it is very user friendly. It is trickled down to the lower staff, because ultimately it is the lower people, lower rank people who are carrying out this physical testing. It should be very user friendly, like, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and then straight away you are onto the job and you are able to get the values. And it can be repeated, it can be done twice in a year, fine. But how to make it user friendly? That is what my question is. How to make it very simple for people to adopt and use?
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. Actually, if this practice is existing with every engineer, then automatically it becomes simple. At the moment, we will get a feeling that it's very difficult to follow such all these things, all these special rules, because we don't follow it. Whereas in across the globe, even in Sri Lanka, for example, because one of the hospital which was constructed few years back, 2-3 years back, I was supporting them. Most of the countries, they very well follow the rules and regulation, because people take it as, as a pride to incorporate more safety features in a good way, and they do it. And then once when these are installed, then maintaining is very easy, because you have to have a document. You have to write that, okay, every month you have to do a fault loop impedance test. That means you have a meter, and the technician should go on doing the testing whenever he gets time, and he has to record it. And if there is a difference of the reading, then he has to inform to a senior person. So if the system is implemented, then it's actually very easy to maintain. But our problem is the system. Most of the people don't try to learn it properly. As a result, the mentality, we think that, okay, it's very difficult to implement, and finally, it becomes really difficult. After construction of a hospital, after construction of an operation theater, implementing the safety measures are really difficult. Really difficult in the sense, most of the time it's impossible. So, by the nutshell, I would say, we cannot make these safety things so simple. The person who is involved, he has to have the knowledge, and he has to understand why these tests are carried out and what is the purpose of these tests, and he has to really seriously do this particular job. So I don't have any answer to explain that we can simplify it, because it's not simple. But if implemented properly at the beginning, of course, then it becomes very simple. I hope I answered your question.
Partly yes, partly no. Partly yes. If it becomes a routine practice for the people adopt the system, so it becomes simple. I understand that point. But to make that simple, all of us have to think in certain direction, that this is the way we can make it simpler. Number two, many times it happens that, if you go to a hospital or a data center or a hotel, they will not allow you any shutdown. They will not tell you that, okay, earthing link is there, you disconnect the earthing link and check the testing. So whatever is to be done, the system has to be adopted in such a way that it has to be done in a live condition. Nothing should be put off while doing the testing, because I myself have been to a few data centers and we wanted to do few things. So we were told that, okay, in the night, 2 o'clock is the time given to us when they can afford to disconnect few things. We can do the testing. It's a very impractical situation for any people to adopt. So when I say let us have a simple system, user-friendly system, people can easily adopt to that system. It includes all these things, like doing the testing in a live condition, and make it so simple that from point to point it can be tested. That is what I was trying to convey.
Sir, actually, if we look at the sequence of the test, the 10 tests, the first one starting with the continuity, the resistance measurement of the wire. Somebody also asked that question, how the test is made. The test is made, first you imagine you have an MCB-DP, then you have a switch socket somewhere on the wall, and then the wire goes to a fan or an air conditioner. Let us say a phase, a neutral, and the earth wire goes. Now the idea is the resistance of this particular wire from the MCB up to the air conditioner shall be within the limit. So after pulling the wire, after connecting it to the appropriate places, you should have a micro ohm meter, and with the micro ohm meter, physically you should measure the resistance of the wire. How to measure the resistance of the wire is explained in the annexure in IS 732. The annexure number I don't remember exactly. It is, I think, annexure QQ or something like that. One of the last annexures, this is very well explained. You can go through it. So you have to physically do this testing and you have to compare the data with the reference. So there is a reference data given and you should compare.
Okay.
Now imagine, sir, you have made this test. Now your switch box is closed. Now your air conditioner is connected. Then you don't need to do this test for the next 25 years because this is going to be a fixed part in your installation. Now, in order to find out whether any loose contact occurred in the future running or any degradation happened in the future running, you can do a small live test of fault loop impedance and the short circuit current test at the terminal of the air conditioner. So that particular test very well tell you that, of course, at the beginning of the circuit, the impedance was, let us say, 200 milliohm, and now the impedance is 200 and maybe 250 milliohm. That means some degradation had happened. By that way, it is possible to find out. And all these tests, the critical tests, the routine tests are live tests. You don't need to switch off the power supply.
Yeah. So your last line answers my question. It can be done in a live condition. Yes, during the first installation or before the commissioning, all this continuity CR resistance of the wire is generally tested. Maybe 50%, maybe at random, maybe at selected places, but it is tested. So your point is, because nothing happens to the wire, it's only the degradation, the life that will degenerate over a period of time that has to be tested in the form of a CR, and the CR value can be compared with the original CR value in case we have the data available. Of the first time commissioning and the
that is very difficult to answer because the people usually don't maintain the data.
Correct.
Previous data is not available. In 99% cases, it is not available.
It is very poor. It is anyway. It is just your luck in case you are able to get the data, but mostly it is not available. That is point number one.
Sir, now I would like to invite the respected my mentor, Apao sir. Kindly say a few words before I take one question. Only one question is there. We have sufficient time. Apao sir, kindly unmute yourself and throw some light on the very important topic.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good evening, Gopa and Rajesh. It's a very good mind-blowing session. And within the shortest time, you have given some vital, important points, especially ESC and long adaptation of protection measures are important parameters to be checked up in hospital installations, especially the micro shock, which are not reported. Even the major shocks are not reported. Then how can the micro shock will be reported in our country? So I have myself seen in most of the hospitals during safety audit. People are not aware. There are people from my biomedical engineering group as well as installation utility engineer. So they are not aware of the IMD, that is insulator monitoring device. During the initial stage itself, even the MNC people who provide IT system, medical IT system, they provide everything except this IMD. So during the subsequent safety audit, as insisted by the NABHS, National Accreditation Board of Hospitals alone can bring out such issues, and it is essential to have a strict safety audit every year in all hospital installations. And that's a must.
Very valid point, sir. The problem is that in India, we don't go for the safety audit. We take it for granted. We forget whenever some inspection is about to happen, we prepare something to show to the electrical inspector, but actually we are not doing anything practically.
Yes, sir, yes.
Yeah. Correct,
now,
sir.
Coming to the question, sir, thank you very much, Apao sir, for your enlightening light on the subject. Thank you very much. There is one question: how to check resistance of circuit when there are many components?
Yeah, this is an initial testing. After pulling the wire, before connecting all your equipment, you must do the test. After connecting your equipment, this test is not possible. And if you wanted to do the test, you should disconnect everything and you should keep on measuring, which is generally impossible.
Okay, next question is whether inspecting authority are aware of this TT TNSCS system or not. If they are not, what to do?
Apao sir, can you help me in this?
Yes. Actually, in Tamil Nadu, there are utilization of TT system and TN system is not, people are not aware of this. Actually, all the TT systems are resulting into a poor TN system through the cable armor and bus duct earthing. For example, a transformer will be, a substation transformer within the ST insulation will be given a neutral source earthing. But that will be connected, that will be automatically connected. Even though it's a TT system, it will be automatically connected to the bus duct earthing, which is finally terminated as a transformer body. And the transformer body earth and the neutral earth are interconnected. Then what we think is, it is not perfectly insulated. The downstream earth electrode and the source earthing are not perfectly insulated, like Japanese earthing system. In our country, we confuse TN and we do not provide TT system. Ultimately, every TT system is resulting into a poor TN system. Especially in hospital location, it is a must that TN system is there. The missing link is the final bonding, that is transformer body and the transformer neutral earth electrode. The final bonding is missing there. The integrity is achieved by the interconnection, but if the interconnection goes, then it is not a perfect TT system. It's neither a perfect TT system nor a perfect TN system. That we have to ensure by physical verification and some continuity test between the transformer neutral and body. That is what I suggested for the practical considerations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very
Correct,
much.
sir. Correct, sir. What you are saying is correct, because people think that a lot of engineers think that this look actually outside it looks like a TT system, but if we really do a checking, it is not a TT system. But if we ask whether it is a Pakka TNCS or a TNS system, that also is not there. So it is like a mixture of everything.
Full of confusion.
I would like to say one thing here regarding TT. TT is not a bad system as far as earth leakage protection is installed at all the places. TT is equally good, I would say. I mean, it is very safe system. But the only thing is, when we install TT, we are not installing earth leakage right from top to bottom. We are only installing at the final stage where ELCBs are there. So entire system.
This is the main sore point. We are not installing that.
So
otherwise, that's not a bad idea.
Correct. Between the final MCB-DB and your transformer, the protections are not there. But if they are incorporated, then TT also acts as a very safe system, I would say.
Coming to next question, sir.
Yeah.
How to check the healthiness of insulation monitoring device?
Okay, we have a meter with which this test is possible. We used to demonstrate to people. Otherwise, the insulation monitor that the companies, those who are making those, they also have meters for checking the healthiness of that particular, the integrity of that particular equipment.
Okay.
There are meters available.
Okay. My question from my side, I have read that the leakage current at rated voltage and the rated frequency of IT transformers should not exceed 0.1 milliampere.
Yeah.
Okay. And how to ensure that thing?
You have the meter, the transformer.
IT transformer.
Yes, it has to have sufficient insulation resistance.
But practically, how to test it 0.5 milliampere? Because finally it is flowing through body and frame of your transformer. And how to ensure it is less than 0.5? We have to fill it in the records also as a audit.
Yeah. See this the fault, this leakage current monitoring devices are there.
Okay.
For example, Appa sir was saying about.
But I feel there should be another session on practical demonstration of all the testing procedures.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There are residual current monitoring devices.
Yes.
You can measure it. Actually, the IMD is an inbuilt arrangement where if the insulation value goes beyond a certain limit, then it will give an alarm.
Alarm is there. Less than 500 megohm alarm system is there.
Measurement, okay, measurement for the measurement, whatever the equipment we use will be definitely less in quality than the originally provided measuring system. For which, for example, if you go for your 5.5 digit resistance meter, it will become bulky. It's not possible to have Paka installation monitoring system to be tested at site.
Can
But
we
we can
use,
have some idea.
sir, can we use insulation resistance meter of Megger 5 kV, 2 kV, 1 kV for that purpose?
Actually, that is not recommended, sir, because using insulation monitoring, insulation resistance in a patient environment, if it goes wrong, then it will become lethal to the patient environment. It's not. We have to use some residual current monitoring. This measurement devices are there. I will send you the details. There are devices abroad available. We have to.
But I think in India that is not available right now.
Yes, as Mr. Mr. Mittal told, some manufacturer, I don't want to recommend the manufacturer, but such a system are available abroad. We have to, the hospital biomedical engineer has to make use of it. In one installation, I have seen that they have brought during the commissioning, some MNC have brought some commission during the commissioning, they have brought that meter. After commissioning, they have taken back that meter. That can't be procured and kept at the hospital premises itself. And even the safety auditor will not be afforded to have such a costliest equipment for testing. So ultimately, we have to use some lesser accurate equipment for testing purpose. In case of doubt, we have to call in for the manufacturer or the installer who has originally done the work.
Yeah,
Sir,
but
next, but I feel we talk
actually-
about EMI EMC system that seems to be theoretical because we have to do some simulation for that study. Practically, what is the significance of that thing?
Sorry, Mr. Arora, I would like to interrupt here. This EMI EMC compliance is not. You don't need to. There are standards developed which recommends standard installation practices. So first we should follow the standard installation practices, and if the standard installation practices are made, automatically the compliances are done. So
It
before
is there,
connecting,
I
anything,
know,
you
it is
can
as
do
per
a
IS
testing.
14700. It is to be basically limits are there for EMC and everything. But practically, I don't find any.
No, I'm not talking about limits. See, yeah, this EMI EMC standard, there are about 150 standards. So limits are there in some standard. Then the emission limits are there. The conducted emission, radiated emission. All these limits are there in each standard. There are a lot of standards, but there are standards for installation. Installation means when you construct a building, and if you know that this building is going. Yes, if this building is going to have electronic equipment, let us say medical location, what kind of installation practices you should follow?
But my question was related to measurement. When we talk about it is EMI, EMC compliance building, how to ensure, how to show in terms of limits and measurement. That is difficult.
But I would like to add one point to this query. The thing is, EMI source, we know the EMI source. It could be. There are two type of emissions: conducted and radiated emissions.
Right.
For example, MRI scan will pose a radiated emission, or a VFD drive may impinge conducted emission. For conducted emission, we have, as Mr. Gopal said, we have installation practices. The data cable or the cable should not be taken parallel for a long distance. It should be sheathed. The cable should be employed, and you should cross. If it requires a crossing, it should be at right angle. These are the installation practices that should be observed during the erection. And in IS 732 itself, there are ways, there are provisions, there are guidelines with figures to illustrate how the data cable and the protective equipment as well as the functional letting conductor should pass. If it exceeds 35 meters, especially at the end terminations where the cable is brought from the cable tray, metallic cable tray, you should be the cable tray should be extended up to the last point of the equipment. In MRI and other things, manufacturer would have observed the single reference grounding and mitigation for high frequency accident. We have to concern ourselves with the method of installation as well as the mitigation for low frequency and high frequency emissions.
Thank you, sir.
Nice thing.
Next question. For isolated power system to be used in ICUs and operation theater, is there any standard for compliance? Are these equipment certified by any testing agency in India?
Okay, isolated power supplies and in the ISO. Okay, this operation theater panels and other things. I really don't know. I don't think that there is an Indian standard exists. And testings also, I am really sorry, I am not aware.
Next question. If a transformer is far away, say 150 to 200 meters from the load, can we install extra neutral earth pit near load to obtain good any voltage? Is it permissible as per the standard?
Not one, several earth pits can be made, but where do you connect? What are you going to connect to that earth pit is the question. Making earth pit, we can make, let us say I put 10 earth pit, but I should connect something. No, what am I going to connect to that earth pit? Am I going to connect neutral or the earth conductor? Which one? See, if the transformer is far away, 150 to 200 meters, up to the origin, up to the main distribution board, it is a good idea to make a TNCS system. At the main distribution board, the C and S can be separated. You know,
Right.
TNC can be changed to
Agree.
S, and at that point, yes, you can have earth pit at the combined part.
And the last question is, what is the benefit of auditing? We have already explained in our discussion, the auditing is not doing in India, not being done, and we have to do it to make our system in place. The last question, say something about standard installation practices. Last point. What is your recommendation before you move?
No, you see, Appauser very well explained in a very crisp way. So, but the standard installation practices are like you are going to construct a building, and in order to get a maximum life for your electrical and electronic appliance, what are the measures you should do? There are very clear standards for each and every part. Let us say, for example, how to make the wiring, how to make the earthing. In case of high frequency, how to make a signal reference earthing, whether you can make a bonded network, mesh bonding network, isolated mesh bonding network. You know, there several techniques are explained, and several measurements are also included. And it is not very easy to explain the whole thing in 1 hour, because we have to then, once when we open this box, you know, this, it's like a Pandora box, then a lot of questions will come from
Right.
inside.
And with that, I would like to say thank you, Gopa sir, for accepting our invitation on that very important subject. Apau sir, thank you very much. You started that platform with your first webinar. We are very thankful to you for your guidance, support, and everything. Thank you, everyone, all the participants, for sparing your time. And thank you, all the participants, Gopal sir, Apau sir, Mitchell sir, all the legends sitting here. Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
sir. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.